I can turn into a fish. Chapter 53, Playing Big, 1. They were stunned. They thought that the shopkeeper would deny his actions or act shamelessly, but they never imagined that he would agree to refund them so easily. "You're going to return all our money?" one of the older men asked uncertainly. "Of course. Full refund." Chu Xian nodded and continued. "I don't have cash, are you okay with WeChat or Alipay? Look at you guys. Return, return, return. I bought these for my granddaughter and she liked them so much. We already bought them, why do we have to return anything?" the old grandmother said, displeased. "Heh." The young man laughed awkwardly. Chu Xian's frankness diffused his anger and made him embarrassed. He warned Chu Xian, "Brother, listen to my advice and shut down your store. The Industry and Commerce Bureaus is going to come and investigate you." "Heh. Close. Why should I close down?" Chu Xian said with amusement, taking the fish tank and putting it on a shelf. "Transfer?" he asked, taking out his phone. The young man nodded, taking out his phone. Chu Xian transferred him the money. "Okay. If there's nothing else, you guys should leave," Chu Xian said while taking out the new price tag he printed and relabeled all the fish tanks. This time, the price tags were big and noticeable, easy for customers to read. The people all looked at Chu Xian curiously and were stunned when they saw the words 3,000 RMB each in bold font. They stared in surprise. "He's actually raising the price?" the young man exclaimed in astonishment. "Crazy. Crazy. The morning paper already reported it all, yet he still raises the price? I don't understand." Chu Xian finished with the price tags and replied to their words, saying lightly, "It's not that I'm crazy, but it's just that few people understand their value. I might even raise the price further in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, if you please. I need to carry on with my business." The people didn't linger in the store shamelessly and awkwardly left. Come, come. This is the store. Let's take a look." Some other young men came over afterwards, looking around and pointing. They entered and after a glance at Chu Xian, they turned to the goldfish. "What the F***ck? one of the young men exclaimed. "The newspaper said 2,000. Now it's 3,000? Just for a goldfish? The goldfish here are very beautiful, no wonder the boss dares to sell them at such a crazy price. Maybe some people will like them enough to buy them," one of the men said, examining the cute and pretty goldfish. "Boss, what kind of goldfish are these? Why are they so expensive? The newspapers all know about your store and they say you're a cheat, trying to rip people off." One of the young men looked at Chu Xian and asked. "Whether they're a rip-off or not can't be determined by people who don't understand." Chu Xian laughed carelessly. Although he was upset when he first saw the article, now he was fine. This was a good chance to promote his store. "So, boss. What's the deal with your goldfish?" one of the other young men piped in curiously. "It has to do with the type. All the goldfish here are expensive and rare, a single arowana can be sold for a couple million, so a couple thousand for my goldfish isn't even expensive. But of course, for people who don't understand, the price is unreasonable. Anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to close down the store for today." Boss. Why are you closing? Isn't it still early? You're not going to close down your shop, are you?" "Of course not." Chu Xian smiled mysteriously. "I just have something I need to deal with. Tomorrow I'll open like usual. Gentlemen, if you aren't thinking of buying some goldfish then I'll have to ask you to leave." The young men saw that he was really closing up, so they prepared to leave. As they walked, they said, "The goldfish in the store really are beautiful. I think it's definitely possible to sell them for a couple thousand RMB. Maybe, but the newspaper only said 2,000, Yet now it's 3. He's so confident, directly raising the price by 1,000. Yeah, it's probably just confidence. As long as the boss doesn't force people to buy his fish, there shouldn't be any problem. Chu Xian heard their conversation as he was locking up and smiled. He had more than just confidence, he thought, as he drove over to Haiqing Standard. He parked the car close to Xiao Ying's classroom and walked over to her class. Xiao Ying and her classmates weren't busy with classes and were all applying for jobs at some of the job fairs. When they weren't busy with other things, they usually hung out in this room. Chu Xian walked in and attracted a lot of attention. All the people who went to the resort remembered clearly how at the resort, he slapped the faces of Lu Ji, Beifang, and those second-generation rich kids like Brother Song. "Excuse me, where's Xiao Ying?" Chu Xian asked when he couldn't find her. "In the office," Siu answered, walking over to him. "And, what's happening?" Chu Xian looked at Siu with some confusion. "Chu Xian, Xiao Ying might be in trouble," Siu said quietly when she came closer. "Trouble? What kind of trouble?" Chu Xian frowned at her words. "I think the hiring process isn't moving forward with the school," Siu answered, wrinkling her forehead in worry. "A hiring issue?" Chu Xian asked in surprise. "Wasn't all of this decided already? How come there's an issue now?" "I don't know either," Siu said, shaking her head. "Please take me to the office." Siu nodded, leading him over. When they arrived at the entrance to the office, they found Xiao Ying talking with a girl in white. Chu Xian relaxed when he saw Xiao Ying smiling. As he walked over, he called out, "Xiao Ying." Xiao Ying heard Chu Xian's voice and turned around in surprise. "Xiao Xian, what are you doing here?" "I had something I needed to do at school, so I came to find someone. I heard from Siu that you might be in trouble, so I came over," Chu Xian said, walking up next to her. "It's nothing. Come, Xiao Xian, let me introduce you. This is my new friend, Tang Kai Ameng. Kai Ameng, this is my boyfriend, Chu Xian." Xiao Ying introduced the two of them. "Nice to meet you," Chu Xian said lightly, looking at this girl in white. Her skin was very pale, and her pair of phoenix eyes were cold and distant. Tang Kai Ameng nodded back in greeting.